Congratulations on making your first sale on Etsy, but now it's time to ship it. And in this video, I'm going to tell you everything you need to know to do that. I'm going to help you with your shipping profile, which should already be set up, but just in case it's not, we're going to go through that. I'm going to tell you all about shipping supplies, how to print your first label, and everything you need to know about shipping out your orders. By the end of this video, you're going to feel confident on how to ship your first Etsy order. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Shalise, and my channel is all about that ultimate quest of living your dream life. I help Etsy sellers turn their Etsy shops into Etsy businesses. I've sold well over $400,000 on Etsy, but I am not a guru. I am just loving what I'm doing and sharing my journey with you. So let's get into shipping your first order. Before we jump into physically packing our first order and printing our labels, we're going to talk about your shipping profile because that needs to be set up correctly so you don't lose money when it comes to shipping. Because once that order is placed, what the buyer has paid you for shipping is already done and you have to go with it. So we're going to go back and check that profile and make sure it's set up correctly. So let's go over to my computer and I'm going to show you how to set up your first shipping profile. We're going to start from your shop manager. Then we're going to go over to the left-hand menu, go down to settings, and then under settings, we're going to go to shipping settings. Once on the shipping settings page, we're going to be on the first tab, which is shipping profiles and processing. Now, one thing you'll notice about this page is you're just not seeing your shipping profiles. You are seeing processing profiles. These are some new profiles that Etsy has added just to give the customer a better idea of when they're going to get their items. So it's a good idea to take time and set up your processing schedule and your processing profiles. So let me start by explaining the difference between processing and shipping. Processing is the amount of time it takes for you to make your item. So for me, I make t-shirts. It's the time it takes for me to make that t-shirt and get it packed up and ready to be shipped. So that's my processing. Now, I have a processing schedule, which is where I set the days that I work on. So if I work in my shop Monday through Friday, then my processing days are Monday through Friday. If I work on Saturdays and Sundays, I could add those days into my processing days. And then we have holidays, and you can select the holidays that you're going to work on as well. So for me, I have none selected. So Etsy knows that I will not be processing or making any shirts on national holidays. Next, you've got your processing profiles. And this is where you can set up individual processing times for each one of your listings. So I have some shirts that are classified as made to order, and it takes me 1 to 3 days to process those. And you can see here that I have this processing profile applied to 303 active listings. So you can set up different profiles depending on how long it takes you to make your items. And if you're making truly handmade things, this is a really good thing because some things might take you 7 days to make, while other things might only take you a day. So now your buyers will have a better idea of how long it's going to take them to get their item. Because buyers sometimes only look at the shipping and say, oh, if it's only going to take it 3 days to ship to me, they're thinking once they place their order, they're going to get their item in 3 days. But they need to factor in that processing time. So Etsy is doing a good job here at letting the buyer know, hey, it's going to take your seller this amount of time to make the item. And then it's going to take the carrier that they give it to, the shipping carrier, this amount of time to get that item to you. So for me, my shop was set up before this new processing profiles feature. So Etsy automatically went in and started setting up some processing profiles for me, and they're okay. So I just come in and update these if anything needs changing. So let's just walk through creating a new processing profile, just so you understand how to do that. So I'm going to click right here to create new. So then I have some questions that I need to answer. Are your items made to order or ready to ship? And my items are normally made to order. But let's say if you have a store where you make all of your items first and then you sit them in inventory, then you can mark them as ready to ship. So for me, it's made to order. And then is how much processing time do you need? How long do you need to make that item? So I am going to click this drop down and I can say I need 1 day, 2 days, 1 to 2 days, 1 to 3 days, 5 to 7 days, and then I can do a custom range. So for this example, I'm going to say I need 1 day. These are my really quick items. And then all I have to do is click create. And then for me, it's telling me that processing time already exists, but you won't get this message. Now, let's say you've got a processing profile that's already set up. If you want to edit it, all you have to do is find that processing profile. So I'm going to go to my made to order 1 to 3 days. I'm going to click on the edit pencil, and then I can go in and make changes to any of the items for that processing profile, and I can change those days. So let's say if I didn't want it to be 1 to 3 days, I want it to be 1 to 2 days, I could go in and change that. But I'm not going to make any changes here. So to get out of here, I'm going to hit cancel, and then I'm back to my shipping and processing profiles page. So now let's look at shipping profiles. And this is where you set up all of the information related to how your orders are going to ship. And this is where you calculate your shipping prices. This is where you set whether you're going to charge a flat rate for shipping or whether it's going to be calculated based on where the customer lives and things like that. So I have some shipping profiles here already set up, but for you, your shop is new. So we're just going to create one shipping profile. We're going to keep it really simple. So we're going to click right here where it says create profile. And then we're just going to answer the questions. So the first question is shipping prices. How are you going to price for shipping? And you have some options. You can let Etsy calculate them for you, which is recommended, or you can enter in a fixed price manually. So for me, I try to let Etsy calculate it for me because I really wanted to take into account the weight of the item, and then I wanted to take into account where it's going. So this allows me to save as much money as I can when it comes to buying my shipping labels. So I'm going to leave it at calculate them for me. Next, the origin zip code. And this is where you're shipping from. So this is going to be your home, your post office, or another location, just so it knows the origin of where the package is going to start from. So I just enter in my zip code here. Next, what countries will you ship to? So you can decide whether you're going to ship domestically or worldwide. So I have mine right now is set to United States and worldwide, which is the default, but you can easily change that. So let's make things really simple for you and let's do domestically. So for me, that would just be the United States. So I'm just going to click edit here, and then all countries are selected by default, but I can uncheck that and then leave only North America with a check. But I can also click this drop down and decide whether I want Canada, Puerto Rico, everything included here. So I'm just going to leave it as a default of North America. Then I'm going to go down, and then the next is shipping services. So this is where you select your carriers and what services you want to provide. I'm going to click here and edit. You see here, I can see all of the USPS services. And then if I click on advanced shipping services, I get some other options. And these are options that I might not want to provide. So I'm just going to go through here, and I changed it to only domestic. So I don't need standard international. I don't need priority mail express international. I actually don't need anything international. So I can do USPS first class mail, USPS priority mail, and priority mail express for those that want an expedited service. So I'm okay here. Now I'm going to scroll down and say whether I want to offer free shipping. And I can do free domestic shipping. I can do free international shipping. So for here, I'm not going to do free shipping. This is optional. I'm going to calculate it based on where the customer lives. And then I just name this profile. So I'm going to name it domestic only. And then I just save that shipping profile. So now I have a shipping profile named domestic only. and you see I have tons of them. So yours will only say domestic only, if that's what you named yours. You'll see your origin. You might not see any active listings on that profile yet. Then you can see where you can come in and edit it, duplicate it, or delete it. And if you want to add listings to that profile, all you have to do is go to that listing. So let me show you how you would do that. So here I'm on one of my listings. I'm just going to scroll down in the listing till I get to the shipping area. So now I'm down here at processing and shipping. And you can see here the processing profile is made to order 2 to 5 days. I'm going to change that. And I'm going to do not the made to order 1 day, but I'll do the made to order 1 to 2 days. And now my processing profile is set. And then I can go in and change my shipping option. So right now it's set to one of my print on demand options. I don't need it to be there. So I'm just going to hit change. If you hit edit, you're basically editing this shipping profile. Don't want to do that. I want to put it on another profile. So if I just hit change, then I can see my different profiles. And if I wanted to go to that domestic only profile, I could, but I want to put this on my shirt orders profile, and I just hit apply. So now I've changed my shipping option and my made to order option. Now, since this was formerly one of my print on demand options, I have some more questions that I need to answer. I need to set the weight of the item. I think this was a sweatshirt or a hoodie, so I normally set that to 1 pound. And I'm going to put in the package size, which I know is always for 13, 10, 1 for 1 shirt. And later in this video, we're going to go through the package sizes and weights and things like that. But this is where I would set that on a listing. And then all I would do is hit publish changes. And now this listing is updated with the processing time and the shipping profile that I set up, which is going to make things a lot easier for me when it's time to ship. We've got our profile set up. Now let's talk about some basic shipping supplies. Now, for context, I ship t-shirts, hoodies, and sweatshirts. So my shipping supplies are going to be geared around those items. So you might have to adjust a little bit depending on what you sell. So let's talk about some basic supplies. So first off, we've got our poly mailers. This is my regular size poly mailer, which is 10 by 13, and then I use 2 other sizes. The medium size that I use is 19 by 14, and then the larger size that I use is 24 by 19. But I'll throw in footage so you can see what those look like. Next, I use a clear poly bag, and I use these to protect my shirts. So I take a shirt and I put it inside of this clear bag, and then I put that inside of the poly mailer. So double protection, and I just think it looks cute. Another thing that I use inside of my shirts is tissue paper, and I'll show myself packing a shirt, but I put this inside of the shirt just to give it that little crinkly feeling, just to give it a little extra when a person opens it. I like to create that experience. Next, we've got a thank you card. And this is not required, but it's just optional. So it's just a cute design on that side. And then on the other side, I have a thank you code, so they'll get a percentage off just by buying. And then I also want to ask them to promote what they bought or take pictures and put it on their social media. And I give a discount if they do that and tag me as well. So a thank you card is just a nice addition. And next, if you're shipping things in a box, you might need tape. So here I have a tape roller, and I use this sometimes. I use this for my bride boxes. I use this for really big wholesale orders. So it's nice to have some tape on hand. The next thing we're gonna need is a scale, and you will definitely need this. The scale is so you can weigh your package so you can buy your shipping label. You'll need to know exactly how much your package weighs after you put everything in the poly mailer or the box, and you'll need to hold on to that value for when you're printing your shipping label. And then finally, we have a thermal printer. In order to print your shipping labels, you're either going to need a thermal printer or a regular printer. Now, a thermal printer is something that I suggest everybody get right off the bat. It's one of those expenses that you could wait, because you can definitely print a full-size label on a full-size sheet of paper on a regular inkjet printer and then cut it out. But that's a lot of extra work. Thermal printers cost around, on average, around $100. They can go to $150, but there are tons of them on Amazon. I'll leave a link in the description. I actually have 2 in here. And I think what I'll do is when this video reaches, let's say 5,000 views, I'll randomly go through the comments, I'll pick somebody, and I'll gift them a thermal printer just to help you get started. So I think that'll be a cool giveaway. But a thermal printer is definitely something, as soon as you have the money to get that, just go ahead and get it, and it's going to make your shipping life so much easier. So those are your basic supplies. Now let's move on to how you package. How do you use all of these supplies? So let's pack an order. You can see here my customers purchased a t-shirt, a sweatshirt, and a blank t-shirt. And I have them all packed up in the clear poly mailers and ready to go in the medium-sized poly bag. So I'm just going to make sure all the air is out of the shirts, and then I'm going to put them inside of the poly bag. So I'm just going to make sure they all fit neatly, and you can see how I can get all of these shirts in the bag, and then the t-shirt, I'm going to fold it, and it doesn't have a design on it. So I just want to make sure everything fits in here nice and neatly. Then I'm going to fold the bag over, and I'm not going to close it yet and seal it. I want to go ahead and get my measurements at this point. Now, this is also the point where if you were going to put a thank you card in, you would go ahead and do that before you measured. And you can see here, I'm going to turn my scale on so it goes to 0, and then I'm going to measure the package. So once I get my measurement, I'm going to take note of that. And normally I write it down on a sticky somewhere so I can use it when I'm purchasing my label. So let's go ahead and purchase the shipping label for this order. We're going to go back to our shop manager and find our orders. And to do that, we're going to go to the left-hand menu. We're going to go down until we see orders. And we should be able to see all of the orders that we have. And if this is your first order, you probably only have 1 order there, so it should be pretty easy to find. But if not, you can sort the orders from newest to oldest and find the order that you're looking for. So here I have the order already pulled up, and you can see we have the game day shirt, the 2 blank comfort color shirts, and then the pink out shirt. So let's go ahead and ship this order. In order to purchase the shipping label, we're going to click on the truck icon, and I have it highlighted here in a red box. So we're just going to click that icon. Once we click on that icon, we're going to get a pop-up where we can add in our delivery information. Now on this order, Etsy has given me 2 labels that I really don't need, so I'm going to hit delete label. And that sometimes happens when you have someone order multiple items. Etsy gets a little confused on how many packages you'll need to use. So I was able to get everything in 1 poly mailer, so I only need 1 label. So you can see my ship date, and then I'm going to go down and enter in that package weight. So that value was 2 pounds and 8 ounces. And then I'm going to enter in the size of the poly mailer, and I know that that one was 19 by 14.5 by 1. That was that medium-sized poly mailer. Now, you can go ahead and preload the sizes of your poly mailers or your boxes so you don't have to enter them in every time. But this time I just go ahead and I typed it in. So now we can go down to our delivery services. You can see here that it defaults to USPS, but I have a number of other options. I can use FedEx or I can use UPS. When you click on the different values, you can see all of your options when it comes to using that carrier. So you can see here there are an array of UPS services I can choose from, and you can see the price points. You can see here that the buyer chose USPS Parcel Select Ground, and they paid $0 because they got free shipping because they ordered more than $35. So I'm going to choose the USPS Ground Advantage service, and I have the option of adding additional services like signature required or package insurance, but I'm not going to add any of that. So now everything looks the way I need it to look. I can add in a note to my buyer if I want to, and I can also see this green label that says that my estimated delivery is going to be October 4th through 8th, and that's when the customer expects it. So everything looks good. I'm going to hit review. Next, I'm going to get a screen that says confirm shipping label purchase. It's going to tell me that I'm purchasing a label for $7.16, and that will be added to my Etsy bill. I can see that I'm purchasing 1 label. I can see the postage price is $7.16, and I can see the total is $7.16. Etsy also gives me an option of sending this information to me so I have a record, but I normally don't choose that because I'm purchasing so many labels. Everything looks good, so I'm going to just hit purchase. And now I'm going to get a confirmation that I just purchased one label. From here, I can print the shipping label or I can print a packing slip. So I'm going to choose to print the packing slip. And I'm going to print this on a full-size sheet of paper and I'm going to add it into the poly bag so my customer knows what they purchased. After I print the packing slip, then I'm going to move on and I'm going to print my shipping label. So I'm just going to hit that button. The shipping label is going to appear and then I'm going to hit the print button. Now your screens might look a little different on this depending on your computer, but this is what mine looks like. Once I hit print, I have the option to choose my printer, and I'm going to choose my thermal printer because I want to print it on a 4x6 label. Now, if you were using a regular printer, you would choose your regular printer. You would choose the paper size of 8.5 by 11, the regular sheet of paper. And sometimes you can print two labels in a smaller size on one regular sheet of paper, cut that paper in half, and now you're not printing such a huge label, which doesn't really look professional. But I do recommend getting the thermal printer and printing out the 4x6 labels just so it looks nice and professional. So once I get everything configured, I'm going to hit print and then I have my label. Now the next thing we're going to do is create a USPS scan form. And this is basically a form that your mail carrier will use where they can just scan one barcode and get a scan of every package that you're giving to them. Now, if you're shipping off one package, this might not be necessary, but I'm normally giving my mail carrier multiple USPS packages. Instead of her having to go in and scan each package individually, she can use the scan form and then she'll get a scan of all of the packages and your customer will know that you've given the packages over to the mail carrier. So you can do that directly from Etsy. All you have to do is from your shop manager, you're going to go to your orders and then you're going to go to the tab running across the top for your completed orders. Once you're on your completed orders tab, you'll see another tab at the top that says create USPS scan form and you just click on that. Once you click on that, it'll give you a list of all of your purchase labels and it's going to show you the labels that are available to be printed for this scan form. From there, you can click on create USPS scan form and then it will pull up the document. Once you pull that document here, you'll see that you have a summary of all the packages that you're giving to your postal carrier. And here I have two labels that I have purchased this day. So those are the ones that are showing up on this scan form. And then I'm just going to print this form and put it in a mail bin with my packages for my postal carrier to pick up. And I usually just put my bins on my front porch and my mail carrier is just used to me having packages ready every day and they come and grab them off of the porch. And the scan form makes getting those packages scanned into the system so much easier. Once you've purchased a shipping label for an order, you can find that order in your completed area. And once you're there, the package should show pre-transit. It's going to show pre-transit until that package is picked up by the carrier. And for USPS, that means until your mail carrier has picked it up. If it's UPS, it's until you've taken it to the UPS store or dropped it off and UPS has made their first scan. So if you see here, if you click on the tracking number, and you can see details. You can see that you shipped it USPS ground, you can see the price, and then you can see that it says pre-transit and other details about that shipment. And this is how you're going to go and research where that shipment is in case your customer sends you a message on Etsy and asks for details or information about the package and its transit. You can see all of those details here by finding the completed order, going in and clicking on the tracking number. And then if you click on that tracking number, you can be taken to the USPS site where you can get additional details. But right after you print the label, nothing is going to be shown. It's going to be tracking not available because that tracking number is not in the system yet. But once that package starts moving, you'll see details here. And these are the same details that your customer will see when they go in to track their packages as well. We've created our shipping profile, we've packed our first shipment, we've created our first label, and now it's ready to go. Now let's talk about some of the common mistakes new sellers make when it comes to shipping. The first one is not knowing exactly how much your shipment weighs. You might be tempted to guess. When you make guesses, you can cause two problems for yourself. The first one is you can guess the weight too high, which means that you're spending too much on your shipping charges. The other thing you can do is you can guess too low, and once your shipment goes out, the carrier will hit you with a fee. So if you send something out USPS and you put a weight that's too low, they can charge you after the fact, which is not good. So it's best to understand your weights right up front. Take the time to weigh the package and then putting the right value when you're creating your shipping label. The next mistake is not taking the time to set up the appropriate shipping profiles and apply them to new listings. This mistake will cost you time. When your shipments are rolling in and you're booming and you're packing, you want to make sure you have everything set up correctly so you don't have as many steps to take. That means making sure you have that shipping profile set up so when it's time to print your labels, everything is ready to go. And then the next mistake I see is overpromising on your processing time. Make sure you set that correctly. And if you're not sure when you're just starting out, give yourself more time. I know when I first started, I would set up to 5 days for processing time on a t-shirt or a hoodie. And that's because I needed time to figure it out. I didn't know how many orders I could do. At the beginning, I was just doing orders on my own. Now I'm down to 3 days. I know that I can get even a custom shirt out the door in 3 days. And then a regular shirt that I do all the time, it's probably out the next day or in 2 days, but I have a buffer. So take the time and get your processing times correct when you're just starting out. It's best to give yourself more time and over-deliver to the customer than having to push dates and have the customer expecting something fast when you can't get it out that fast. And if you are selling something that is truly handmade, that it takes you time to make, this is going to be very important for you. This video is just scratching the surface when it comes to shipping, but it's going to help you get that first order out the door. But I'm going to have some follow-up videos that'll talk about Etsy shipping costs so we can make sure you're pricing your items so you're not losing money on shipping. I have another video that talks about shipping supplies, and I'll tell you where you can go and get supplies and the vast array of supplies that you might need. Those supplies that are required for shipping, and then some nice to have so you can add a little flair to your packages. And then I'll have a final video that talks about international shipping, because there are some things that you need to think about when it comes to whether you're shipping domestically or internationally. And for me, I am inside of the US. So domestically for me is going to be inside of the US, and international is going to be other countries. So keep that in mind when you're watching that video. But once you watch the other videos in this series, then you'll have a full picture of how to ship your items. I hope you found this video helpful and you have your first order packed and ready to ship. So if you did, comment shipped in the comments and let me know about your Etsy shop and what you sold, because I want to celebrate that first shipment with you. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. And don't forget, I'm going to give away that thermal printer once this video hits 5,000 views. So your view is already counted. Make sure you leave a comment so that I know that you were here, even if it's just to say, I want that thermal printer, and you're in the running. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video, which is always right here.